Hi guys, how's it going? Season here and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be covering a beginner's guide to playing Diablo Immortal. If you're considering playing the game or has just started, then this video is for you. If you're an existing player, this will be a good refresh along with some tips and tricks. And with that being said, let's begin. Let's start off with identifying what the game is. So Diablo Immortal is a free-to-play MMO ARPG, massive multiplayer online action role-playing video game, and that's it. And that it's developed by Blizzard, the same folks who are responsible for bringing us Warcraft, Starcraft, Overwatch. So a really big name in the industry, and this is one of the reasons why personally I'm kind of inclined first off to test the game, because I know that if it's coming from Blizzard, it's gonna be a good game. And of course they did not disappoint. Now the added factor here is that for the Titas and Tito players like myself, this game brings a lot of nostalgia, and I think the appeal increases for folks who have played the franchise before. You see, the Diablo series or the Diablo franchise started as early as 1997 when the first Diablo came out on the PC, and then later on I was able to play it in PlayStation 1. It's mostly offline, but the storyline is already there, right? It's jam-packed with lore, and you know, the whole idea of this entity trying to take over the world, etc. Fast forward a couple of years, 3 years after, they came out with the second franchise, Diablo 2, which came out in 2000, and then Diablo 3 came out in 2012. Diablo 3 specifically I played in the PlayStation 3 console. Diablo 4 is currently in development, and hopefully they'll be releasing it soon. But prior to that being released, Diablo Immortal, which is the game that we're talking about today, is now available for the Philippine market as an example. And it just got released July of this year, and it became a really successful launch, because just in 1 month of being available to the Asia Pacific region, it already garnered 30 million downloads, right? So a lot of good potential there as far as the success of the game, as well as, you know, backed by a giant in the industry. You would expect that the game will really deliver. So that's what we're here. We're going to be covering some of the gameplay basics, as well as some of the tips and tricks for you guys who would be interested in playing Diablo Immortal in the near future. So aside from the background of Diablo Immortal or the Diablo franchise, this game also offers a ton of features that you'll be able to enjoy as a player. You have a multitude of events. You have, you know, open world content similar to any MMO games. You'll be able to farm, grind outside of the normal maps. You also have dungeons and raids that you'll be able to get some loot from, as well as XP. There are also world bosses and in-game events that would be available depending on the current season. For the PvP enthusiast, we also have a battleground situation wherein 8 players versus 8 players would battle it out, similar to the gameplay of Defense of the Ancients, or ML as an example. And there's also a guild versus guild component, which is in the Shadow Wars events, which we'll go over later on. So that's kind of like the overview. Okay, so in order to start the game, there's going to be a couple of options for you to do, depending on the platform that you would like to play the game with. The good thing about this game is that it's cross-platform, meaning you can play it on PC, which is similar to what I have on my screen right now, or you can also play it on your mobile. It's compatible to iOS and as well as in Play Store, and as long as you use the same ID, then you'll be able to play the same account even in different platforms. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Just follow the instructions. When you go to Battle.net, as an example, download the PC client and install as usual. You'll be able to play it there, or you go to App Store or to Play Store in your mobile phones. Download as you would in any other game, and then you'll be able to have the game. So assuming that you're already done doing that, the first thing that you would need to do would be to identify a class that you would like to use in your journey in the game. So right now you see two characters. I have my main account, which is rocking a current Crusader job with a cosmetic. I forgot the name, but it comes with a Season 3 Battle Pass, I think. And then you also have another class here, which is Demon Hunter. I consider this as kind of like my free-to-play account. And then you also still have 3 slots, so you have 5 slots in total that you can mix around, play around, depending on what type of gameplay or class play you would like to focus on. The good thing is, this game offers a class change system absolutely for free, so no pressure. You know, you can start with any class that you would like, and then if you feel that you don't like it later on, you'll be able to continue with your progression, but at the same time, you know, test a different class. Every 7 days you will have a cooldown, so you would always be able to revert back to your class or change to a different one. So I'm gonna pick an empty slot here, and then we'll go one class by one, starting from the top. The Barbarian class, I would say this is your typical fighter class, melee, and what I like about the Barbarian is that they have pretty good DPS in PvE content. They are also one of the classes who bank on their normal attacks, which has a frenzy skill on it, and what it does is the more normal attack that you hit, the faster he becomes, or the harder he hits as well. So kung mahilig ka sa normalan, yan, Barbarian is a good choice for you. He's also one of the classes who presents a kit that increases damage as well as move speed, which is very, very important, and I think Barbarian is probably one of the underrated classes in game, mainly because of that buff. Like if you go to the Shadow Wars, wherein you would have to kill the Immortal, the Immortals would have the tendency, in the main battle, would have the tendency to jump from one point to the other, or keep on moving so that people, don't hit him. So if you have a Barbarian in your class and he procs in a movement speed buff, then you can easily catch up, right? Very, very useful in that regard. Now, what's important to note as well is in this game, melee classes are kind of like at the shorter end of the straw, because obviously you need to catch up to your opponent, but this game does not offer any heal skill mechanic, or there's no class here, kind of like a priest, that would be able to heal you as one of their staple skill sets. So the mobility is there. You need to compensate for that. And for the Barbarians, they have a sprint skill, which allows them to move faster, so you can compensate for that situation. My personal opinion is that Barbarian excels in PvP, as an example, because they're very good disruptors. I wouldn't say they're a very good tank class, although they can fulfill the part. But in stages of the battlegrounds, as an example, wherein time is of the essence, if you have a good Barbarian who would be disrupting the flow from the front lines, you wouldn't notice that you catching the Barbarian already took a couple of seconds. And because they have an undying skill wherein they don't just drop dead, when they take a fatal damage, they have a couple of seconds to be immune, and then revert some of their life. So it's a really good disruptor in PvP, in my opinion. Play Barbarian if you like the cookie cutter fighter class. If you'd like spinny axe motion type of damage thing, Barbarian is for you. Excuse me. Okay, moving on to the next class, we have the Wizard. And similar to most games out there, when you talk about Wizard, you primarily talk about damage dealer classes. And it's very similar here in Diablo Immortal. The Wizard offers very high DPS, both in PvE and PvP content. They're one of the classes who offer synergy through damage with their Ice Crystal, as an example. They plop down an ice crystal and they shoot their ray on it, so that instead of one single ray channeling skill, it becomes multi-targeting for their opponents. And what's interesting is that if you have a different class that has channeling ray skills, they can also utilize that same ice crystal, therefore multiplying the effect. And it's really, really nice to see, kind of like a Wonder Twins activate type of thing. Seeing that refraction name go out, but that's just kind of like one of the showcases of how Wizard offers a DPS component. They're also very good farmers because most of their skills are AoE. Their normal attacks have pretty good reach, and what I like about them is that they probably have the best teleport skill in the game. Like earlier we talked about Barbarian using sprint, moving faster. Crusaders have the similar buff. They ride in their horse, move faster. But the teleport skill is different, because when you teleport, you don't have to consider the fences or the barriers in the map. You can simply really just teleport from one place to the other, making them very useful, very valuable, offer very good mobility anywhere in the game that would require them to do some fast movement. So there, I think the only drawback that I see in using Wizards is, number one, they're DPS class, so you'd probably expect them to be squishy, and that's true in this case. They have channeling skills, which can be a double-edged sword. It can be a good thing if you're fast in your hands, very high skilled, but if you're kind of like a newbie or don't like a lot of activity with your fingers whenever you're playing, then Wizard might probably not be for you because of that whole channeling aspect when you cast your skills. Yeah, so overall I would say this is a very fun class to play with, and this is going to be good for you if you're looking to see really good numbers in terms of your damage output. So definitely a win in that regard. So I'm gonna move on to the third class for review, which is Demon Hunters. Demon Hunters really remind me of what's that movie, the one that has Wolverine on it. He also has a crossbow that's powered by gas chambers or something that I forgot the name, but if you do know what I'm talking about, please put it in the comment box below, because that's gonna be eating me until I figure out what the name of that movie is. But his role is pretty much the same, like he's a demon hunter or a vampire slayer or whatever. Okay. Anyway, so Demon Hunters, very interesting class. As you can see here, he rocks 2 crossbows, which I think, sometimes when I play as Demon Hunter, I forget that they're using crossbows, and I feel that they're using 2 pistols, because, their animation is really, really cool. But similar to the Wizard, Demon Hunters are a range class, high DPS type of class, but also very squishy in that regard. But they're very original because they're the only class in the game that will be able to do normal attacks while they are moving. Most of the other classes, when they do attacks, they'd have to stand, and hit as they do it. But Demon Hunters are the only ones who, can probably strafe, if that's what you want to call it, or sidestep while attacking, similar to FPS games. So I like that aspect of it. Movement speed, I don't know if this is just me, but their normal walking speed kind of looks or feels a little bit slower. That's what I don't like about the class. But they have 2 mobility skills that can help compensate with that. They have a daring swing skill, which essentially is kind of like a Spider-Man. They use, kind of like a grapple hook to latch on the screen or the ceiling, and then they will be propelling themselves forward. And then they also have a smoke screen type of thing for assassins, which will help them be more mobile as well. I would say demon hunters excel specifically in dishing out single target damage, especially when they proc their vengeance skill, which pretty much increases all of their stats, attack speed, damage, normal attack, etc. So if you're looking for single target damage DPS, demon hunter is for you. They really excel in that regard. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the fourth class, and the fourth class would be the monk class. You can see that Kagebunshin animation right there. Monk class are very fun to play with, definitely not for beginners, mainly because majority of their skills are combo based, and you need to have good timing and good maneuverability for you to be able to maximize the damage output and survivability of the monk. They remind me kind of like a melee assassin class, because Diablo Immortal surprisingly doesn't have an assassin class here. But monk kind of does that part, in the sense that when they do normal attacks, they actually teleport to you, which makes him very mobile and very, very fun to use. But the double-edged sword in terms of their skill set is that because it's combo based, yeah, you can have fun. It also requires a bit of practice for you to be able to get used to that, because if you are not used to combo based attacks, then your combo will be broken. You won't be able to dish out a lot of damage, and because he's not necessarily a tank, he can be a little bit squishy in that regard. I would say monks excel primarily in PvP. When I switched over to monk maybe about a week or two, I definitely enjoyed using him in battlegrounds because he offers a lot of crowd control. Like, he has a Shoryuken type of skill that immobilizes people around him. He has another tornado Shoryuken that moves people in a different location. He has invisible frames whenever he do some of his skills. But aside from the ability to dish out CC skills, he also has a skill called Shield of Zen that allows him to be immune to crowd control, right? Therefore, allowing him to really move in and move out really quickly, and that's kind of like his main role. He's like a fighter plane or a jet plane. You swoop in, do the damage, and you get out, right? Seek and destroy is kind of like one of his gameplay. So if you like that type of game style, definitely choose the monk. Next up is the Crusader, and this is what my main class is. I like the Crusader because I think this one here offers the most valuable support skill in the game, which is Holy Banner. Holy Banner pretty much guarantees that all of your skills and attacks will crit for all of your party members. So just by that description, who wouldn't want that, right? And that's useful for either both PvE and PvP content, right? So they have the best support skill. They also have the fastest mobility in game because they have the ability to mount their horse, which means join quarter, which makes them compensating for the fact they're also a melee class. DPS wise, they're not so good, they're not so bad either. I would say they're probably above average in terms of DPS. In some cases, arguably, people would say Crusader's DPS is underrated. They actually dish out a lot of damage. I would say play out the Crusader class if you're a group player, or you'd like to party with your friends, in playing because it offers the highest synergy, I would say, because anyone who's running dungeons would love to have your banner. So they're one of the most sought after classes in game, very high demand. But at the same time, I've been playing Crusader for the longest time. It's very, very enjoyable. I like the aura build, wherein anyone that comes near you pretty much takes damage. That's pretty awesome. And lastly, but definitely, the Necromancer. Necromancers are very original, I would say, because they are the ones who summon, allies coming from corpses of the monsters that you've killed. They have very, very good utility for both PvE and PvP content. And I would say they have very good DPS, but they probably have the most, if not the best, crowd control ability in game. I absolutely dislike having a Necromancer in the enemy party whenever we're rocking battlegrounds, because as a Crusader melee, I need to go into the fray, and whenever there is a Necromancer there, you would expect that I'll automatically get stunned by him. And it's like a 3-4 hit combo as well, that you'll always be stunned. So the CC duration is just insane. But having said that, if you have a Necromancer in your party, then the tides would turn. So definitely good in that manner. I would say overall, the Necromancer is good both in PvE and PvP. They excel in PvP, in my opinion, because of the crowd control skills, and they also have actually some CC immune skills, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, overall, I think if you were to kind of tier all of these classes, in my personal opinion, Necromancer would be the highest tier, second would be Crusader, and then third would be the Demon Hunter. Kind of like those are my top three, and again, that's just my personal opinion. Right now, again, bear in mind that whenever we talk about job classes, you will have a free job change mechanism every 7 days. So feel free to try out any of these classes, and that's probably one of the things that I favor the most in terms of this game, is that when they offer job change, it's absolutely for free. So like in my screen, I'm at Westmarch, which is the main town. I'm gonna move to the Shifting Flames, which is the right portion of the map, and when you navigate to that, what the hell is going on? And when you navigate to that, you'll be able to see the location where we can actually do the job change. I'm not gonna do the job change right now, but I'll probably do another video to explain what this looks like. But it's pretty much here. You just go to Westmarch at the flames portion here. Let me just move myself. There, the flames icon there, and then you go towards it and then click the class change, and then you'll have the overview, which gives you a description of what the mechanism is about, as well as the option to do the class change. So again, no worries. One of my most favorite parts of the game, and a lot of my friends would probably laugh at me on this, but I do like testing job builds. That's where I primarily get my enjoyment from whenever we talk about playing these games. Okay, so now that we're done with job classes, we're gonna move over to one of the more critical components of the game, which is equipment. So in the right side of your screen, you will see some orange/reddish type of equipment, and these are called legendary equips. Right? The left side are color green, and ironically, these are called green set items. I'm gonna explain the importance of these. So the legendary items allow some options for your skills to be changed, altered, or improved. Like, I'll give you an example. This shoulder Sidket's advantage makes my draw and quarter duration increase by 30%. Right? So it improves some of the existing skills that I have. The Iron Suzerain, which is one of my favorites, the effect of this legendary skill set is that my condemned damage now continuously drags enemies towards you. This alters the effect of the skill. I'm gonna show you that in detail, what I mean by that. So here, I'm looking for itong icon na to na parang sa Naruto. Ayan. So, I'm gonna pop in a skill which is Holy Banner. Ito, sample lang to. Okay. So, I'm gonna pop in Holy Banner and you will see that nilapag ko siya sa ground. Diba? Medyo malaki yung AOE niyan. And that's the default effect of that skill. Now, if I go to Essence Transfer, which is the location wherein you'd be able to customize your equipment or your legendary equips, you have the option to extract it. If you don't have that extraction yet, you can see that most of my helmets have been extracted. I still have 2 that have not yet been extracted. So, pag may nakuha kang ganito, like Pride is Bait, you can click the plus icon and then lalabas dito yung Pride is Bait, and then you can extract it. When it becomes extracted, it destroys the original item. But what it does is that it's now available for inheritance. And if an item is extracted, unlimited pa din mo siyang gamitin for inherit. So, balikan natin yung Holy Banner kanina. No? So, here, I'm gonna change my Glower of the Recluse to my staple helmet, which is Arrow Keeper. I use this most of the time, about 90% of the time. And what it does is the inspiration from Holy Banner now moves with you. So, iibahin niya yung description ng skill. And this is very useful for altering some of your builds. Kasi kanina, nung nilapag ko yung Holy Banner, nasa ground siya, di ba? And the problem that it creates is that pag nasa ground siya, tapos tinira ng kalaban yun, namamatay yung banner na sisira. But because of the legendary item na ginamit natin kanina, the inspiration from Holy Banner now moves with you instead of, sa lapag sa ground. What it will do is, it will, nasa likod mo na, right? And nakikita mo yung radius niya would also move with you very consistently. So not only na hindi na siya mamamatay kasi may sarili siyang HP, the banner's HP is your HP. So hanggang di ka namamatay, andun yung banner, right? And that's just kind of like one of the examples of that inherit icon. And that's the beauty of having legendary items. Let's do another sample. So here, Grimback Buckler, while punish is granted, you harden senses, your blocks will trigger an explosion, dealing X amount of damage. So improvement on a passive in terms of normal attack. But for this showcase, I'm gonna try to use the Bone Bearer, which will make Shield Glare consume an energy to reflect a beam of light. So testing natin. Excuse me. So here, asa na yun? Shield Glare. Okay, so silipin natin ano itsura ng Shield Glare. Oop, ayan. So cone-shaped damage. Yun na yung Shield Glare, no? I'm gonna use my legendary to alter the skill of Shield Glare. And I'm going to make it it will now consume an energy to reflect a beam of light that continuously damage enemies in a direction, but no longer blinds enemies. So hindi na siya isang one-click skill. What it will become is a channeling skill, which now looks like this. Diba? Angas, no? And you can use your mouse or cursor to kind of direct yung kung saan siya nakatutok. And again, like any channeling skill, similar to what I said in the wizard, kailangan medyo sanay kang tumututok para magamit mo siya ng maayos, right? Kasi kapag medyo hindi ka fast hands, may hirapan kang gamitin yung mga ganyang klaseng skills. Okay, so that's pretty much the concept of the legendary items. These legendary items pretty much drop Halos kahit saan, like open world farming, magdadrop yan. Sa bestiary mo, magdadrop yan. Pretty much any reward-based RNG, may chance na maghulog ng legendary yon. So, I think majority of the time you will find yourself grinding for more legendaries and more legendaries. Not just because of the extract and inherit mechanism, but also hanap ka ng mas magandang stat para lumakas yung combat rating mo, right? Like you can see here na some of my legendary items are at the 60 mark, and then like this one nasa 68 mark na siya, so medyo malaki yung difference niya, no? And that's what I'm talking about, no? Like when you grind more items, tataas yung stat na makukuha mo. Moving on to the green set items. So this is what the Diablo series is kind of popular for. Very high grind mechanism to get set items, and in Diablo Immortal this is what it looks like. So you get the green items, and every item that you'll get will obviously have the attributes and the magic, as well as a couple of sockets where you can put your gems. But this is where it becomes important. Every time magkaroon ka ng combo of the same kind, you will unlock different properties. So like in this particular scenario, itong mount-to-bank scenario or set, if you get 2 sets of mount-to-bank, asa may isa ko? Ito, mount-to-bank's bravado tsaka mount-to-bank's flourish. Each time you take damage, you have a 20% chance to gain a shield that absorbs damage equal to 13% of your maximum life. Cannot occur for more than once every 9 seconds. I have this because kakagaling ko lang ng PvP. So this is very useful, no? Again, because I'm a melee class, and if I have a chance to get a shield, that increases my survivability. The other set that I'm rocking is called the V2 Surge and increases the duration of all beneficial effects on you and your party members by 30%. So katulad nung kaninang pinakita ko na Holy Banner, you know, it increases the duration of that. So that's very, very useful. And notice that I have 2 different sets, so that's fine because right now I'm rocking a 2-2 set, meaning 2 set for Mountebank and 2 set for Urge or V2s. You also have the option right now to actually do a 4 set pero 1 combo lang. So let's say kung puro V2's items lang yung kukunin ko na 4, which is itong earring, itong gloves, waist at saka boots, then I'll be able to unlock the second item here. Shield damage absorption increased to 30% of your maximum life, and you can move unhindered through enemies while the shield is active, etc, etc. So, maraming set items ang pwede mo i-combo dito, but it totally depends upon what type of build you're running, and how you would like to you know, use those set effects. It doesn't automatically mean na, you know, full set is better. Sometimes I know players na mas pina-priority nila yung stats, at least right now, no, ng mga green items in order to bump their combat rating over yung set effects. So to each his own, kanya-kanyang discard yan. I think at this stage in the game, medyo maaga pa for us to be really, you know, be fretting upon yung min-maxing the set items for now there. Pero the basics are there. You do with your legendary items first, and then second yung green items. Kung meron ka mang ipa-farm, ito yon. Noteworthy shout out would be this icon right here. I wish I saw this earlier nung naglalaro ako. So you go to your green item and you scroll down, may makita kang maliit na papel here with the magnifying glass. If you click that, it will actually show the locations of where the other sets are located. And if you have an icon, that means you already have it or suot mo na siya. But like in this case, Mountebank Shirking, it can be found in Pit of Anguish, Hell 2 or above. And you have a navigate icon here, so it's very convenient if you're looking to farm those sets. So same goes with Mountebank Slyness and itong dalawang ring. Although right now it's not yet available kasi Hell 4 ang requirement. So medyo mataas pa yan kasi right now I'm at Paragon 81 and I'm only rocking Hell 3 pa lang. So matagal-tagal pa yung Hell 4, no, because that requires Paragon 150. And that's what I was saying earlier, na medyo maaga pa at this stage to kind of be min-maxing your set items, because hindi mo pa rin makukuha yung 6 na set in total eh. So there. So since we're already in this page, just a couple of notes here. The map difficulty is what you see here, and you started with normal. As you finish the game or the main quest, you will reach level 60 as an example. In the normal case, you will get equipment for 1 to 60. Pag nag-reach ka na ng 60, pwede ka na maging Paragon. And that's the time we're in. You would be able to go to the Hell 1 difficulty or adjust it. And now you have the ability to get equipment from Paragon 1 to 60. Same goes with Hell 2, Paragon 130 to 130. And same goes with Hell 3, Paragon 80 to 210. So there. Syempre, the higher the difficulty, the harder the mobs are, or the mga kalaban would be. Unconfirmed, I'm not sure if this is true, pero yung mga dati kong nalaro, the higher the map level or difficulty, the higher the chance, you know, to get better loot. Sa Diablo Immortal, hindi ko sure kung totoo yun. So let me know in the comments box if you know for a fact, or you know, at least by observation as an example, kung totoong mas maganda ang drop rate pag mas mahirap yung difficulty level ng map, right? But essentially, if you want to change maps, map difficulty, just go to Westmarch, which is your main town, and then here, itong bungo na icon, you'll be able to use this icon to switch over your difficulty level ng iyong maps. Okay. Alright, so there you have it. So far, we've covered the basics or the overview of what the game is. We also covered the different job classes available in Diablo Immortal, which of their gameplays would suit with you. I'll be very interested to know which class you would pick, so please comment down in the box below. I'd be very interested to strike up some conversation, most especially, like personally, I haven't played the Wizard and the Necromancer myself, so very interested to get your thoughts on that. If you've liked the content of what you've seen so far, or you find this useful, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It would definitely help me a lot. This is my first ever content review, and I'm kind of nervous and excited at the same time. So I'm looking forward to you guys subscribing more and also providing more content for you guys. Do hit the bell notification button so that you'll be notified for any new video that will come out. I'll try my best to upload new videos every week. And for you folks who are new to the game, considering to play the game, I hope that you'll be able to find this information useful. So until then, thank you very much and salamat ng marami.